Reason number 10 that your next boat should be a Camus, our trolling motor wedge. Modeled into the cap of our boats is a unique wedge that allows your trolling motor to shoot directly vertical in the water. You won't have to use spacers or other counterbalancing devices because your trolling motor and electronics transducers will sit perfectly balanced on your Camus. Check out this unique Camus-only feature by going to camusboats.com. Our guest today is Matt Pangrac, host of Bass Talk Live, also known as BTO. Um, Virtually every time you have somebody on, you ask this question, and I've always wanted to ask you this question. What is the state of professional bass fishing at this moment?
It's an interesting question. I think right now it's changing. I think you have a lot of professional anglers that are realizing kind of what I talked about earlier, that in order to be safe, in order to be able to support your family, to know that you're going to have income coming in the rapidly changing world, you have to remain relevant outside of the 8 to 15 weeks that you're competing in a tournament. So I think you have a lot of younger anglers that are coming in that are understanding that from the social media side. You have a lot of established anglers that are trying to add to it. You look at like an Edwin Evers, what he's done with his YouTube channel. You know, I just roomed this past week in the Open with Matt Steffen and Miles Berghoff. Steffen's on something like 700 something days in a row that he's put a video out on YouTube. Miles puts a video out every single day. I think that there is a shift right now from the tournament wins are still very important. You know, you can talk to, and like I said, I work with my sponsor. You can, I'll call Omni and say like, do you know? They're like, yeah, we notice a big difference. Like when a bait is used as a winner, as a winning bait, we see an uptick on that. But right now, the state of the industry, I think, is less important on actual tournaments and tournament finishes than it is on overall consistent relevance in the industry, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. Um, we used to base relevance on wins and losses,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always come down. Here's that word again. It's always come down to impressions, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're standing up on a stage. It's great if you are, but if you're able to produce something that people want to access and want to watch, um, it's that's what it is. And I what I like about the current state is I feel like a professional angler has to be a professional angler, not just someone who shows up for tournaments every day, but you've got to be doing something that draws people's attention.
It seems like the line over the last 5 years has really been blurred between professional anglers who create content and content creators who fish tournaments. Uh, I don't consider myself a professional angler. I don't consider myself a content creator. I consider myself someone who makes a living in the industry. Like I take the tournament side of it very seriously. I take the podcast and that creation side of it very seriously as well. But I think the most successful people in the industry now understand who fish as well understand that they have to have that mix.
So bottom line, are we better off now than we were in Randy Blockett's golden age, or or
I
are
don't.
we
So
or are
listen, I
we
had this talk. So we're at the meeting. We're at the pavilion, Humphrey Pavilion. We're all walking up. I park next to Rick Pierce. Rick Pierce, he's on
Mhm.
the list of the final 21 guys for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame to get voted on to get inducted in
Well
this
deserved?
September. Well deserved. And Rick came up and he said, let me bend your ear for a second, Panger. And I said, all right, hit me with it. He said, look around. And I said, okay. And he goes, what do you notice? And I said, well, I said, everyone else walking up to this meeting is 20, 21, 22, 23. All the boats in the parking lot are colleges and things like that. And he said, exactly. He said there's a lot of controversy, and I'm paraphrasing. This is exactly what he said. But basically his point was there's more young blood in tournament bass fishing right now than there ever has been. And you can look at like that from a number of perspectives. You can look at it as look at all the information that's out there that hadn't been. You can look at it, you can actually see guys try, like you can watch Jacob Wheeler dang near every single cast that he makes now on the BPT. So you can learn from that. You can take the technology into it. You can look at the organizations that started with FLW and MLF or Bassmaster, Wade Middleton's Collegiate Bass. I mean, you have all these guys that are now started when they're 10, 11 years old and juniors and have worked their way up. They're used to multiple day tournaments. They're used to traveling. And when you look at it from that standpoint, you're like, dude, it's in a pretty good spot. Like, look at all these young kids that are carrying the torch for the sport, and there's never been this influx of young blood before. So I look at it from that, from that aspect that Rick pointed out, and I'm like, man, it's in a pretty good spot right now. There's more young anglers than there ever has been that are competing at a higher level. Like, how can that be bad? Like, that's a whole nother generation that are going to be buying boats, buying electronics, buying baits, rods, reels, the whole 9 yards for the next 30 years.
Well, I know that Camus Boats has recognized this, and Camus Boats has a program for high school anglers, and they have a program for college anglers. And my question is, who's buying these boats? But
Yeah.
they have a program, and it's pretty lucrative. And anyway, so yeah, to your point, it's absolutely catching people's attention. And I think Rick Pierce is spot on if he noticed that's who's walking around at these tournaments, because that is the world that we live in. I'm Keith Neiswanger. This is the Bass Tour Anglers podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you'd like to reach us, please send us a direct message on Instagram at Bass Tour Anglers Podcast. Take care. Be safe. We'll talk to you next time.